Okay, perfect. Thank you. So welcome everyone to our Microsoft WebXT and Trabajamos event. My name is Will Moss. I will be your moderator for today's event. We're super excited to have you. So welcome, bienvenidos, and gracias por llegar a estar aquí con nosotros. So this is a specific event targeted towards Latinx candidates and also diverse professionals. We're super excited because this partnership with Microsoft has been one that has resulted in a lot of opportunities for people to get interviews and then get hired to work for an absolutely awesome company. So I welcome you. So a little bit of quick housekeeping. We're in a Teams format, so please make sure to mute yourself. Make sure you stay on mute so we don't interrupt our speakers. And please make sure to turn off your video so that we can focus on the Microsoft team members that will be presenting on video. Okay, so with that, let's go ahead and get started. I want to do that quick housekeeping. We will be recording this event. So if you need to step away for a bathroom break or maybe to get something to drink from the kitchen, that kind of thing, feel free to do that. We will send out the recording of the event afterwards. But make sure to take advantage of this opportunity to ask questions, to learn more about Microsoft, the Microsoft culture, and specifically the WebXT team. We're super excited to present their opportunities. So let's go ahead and get started. And the first thing I like to do is go over the agenda to set expectations on what we're going to cover this evening. And then we'll follow up with a welcome for myself. So that'll be the start. I'll give you guys some quick background on myself, on Trabajamos, our partnership with Microsoft, and the opportunity for you as candidates at this event, this very special event. Then I'm going to introduce our keynote speaker, who is Manish Mittal, Vice President, Shopping and Commerce there within Microsoft. Manish was going to give you guys an overview and some background on Microsoft and the team that he represents and the team that we're introducing you to this evening. Then after the keynote speaker, we're going to meet the team of panelists that are here to share their experiences, a little bit about who they are, so that you can get to know the team better, get to know a little bit about their background, so that you can understand a little bit more about the Microsoft culture and the types of people that Microsoft looks to hire. So we're going to dig into a little bit of their experiences, their backgrounds, the types of people they look to hire, the types of opportunities that are available, and we're going to have a great conversation with that team in our panel discussion after we meet each of our panelists. So we're going to have a panel discussion. I have some questions that I've set up to ask the panelists to get everyone engaged, to give you guys a better idea of the Microsoft culture and specifically the WebXT culture. And then I'm going to open it up for you to ask questions in the chat. So if you have questions based on what you're hearing and what you're learning, maybe how your skills might translate, you can feel free to drop those questions in the chat. Not only during the live Q&A, but as you're meeting some of the different presenters, if you have questions for them specifically, you can ask those questions in the chat. All right, so we're going to have that live Q&A to make sure we answer your questions. And then, of course, we're going to talk about next steps. So if you want to land an interview with Microsoft and the WebXT team, we're going to explain to you the best way for you to do that. All right, so make sure to put yourself on mute. We don't want to interrupt our speakers as we go along. So make sure you're on mute. And again, feel free to turn off your video as we go. Okay, so let me introduce myself briefly. Like I said, my name is Will Moss. Started out the partnership with one of the main companies that we run, which is HBCU Connect, which is a website dedicated to students and graduates of historically Black colleges and universities. We started out a partnership with Microsoft about 8 or 9 years ago. We started having success helping Microsoft identify diverse talent and specifically African-American talent. And we had so much success, we started having conversations about how can we duplicate this success in not only the African-American community, but the Latinx community. I personally have some ties to the Latinx community. My kids are half Dominican, and I have an affinity towards Latinx culture. So we said, let's go ahead and partner to do some great things to provide opportunities also to the wider Latinx community. So that brings us here to our event today. And let me explain to you the difference between this event and just an info session or maybe a career fair that you might attend. This event is specifically to help you land an interview and potentially be hired at Microsoft. So this is a very intentional event. This is not just, you know, a lunch and learn where you're just going to hear some things and then disappear in thin air. We want you guys to potentially land an opportunity at Microsoft if there's a mutual fit. So I want you to ask those types of questions that come up in your mind once you're hearing things and learning things from the Microsoft team, because our intention is that some of you guys get hired from this event. So that is the opportunity for you. And without further ado, let me introduce our keynote speaker, who is Manish Mittal, Corporate Vice President, Shopping and Commerce within Microsoft. So Manish, if you're ready.
Yeah, thank you, Will. I'm going to project my own slides here. So let me just see, let me know when it starts to show up. It should load up in a second.
No problem. There we go.
Yeah, I hope you folks can see that. So hello, everyone. I'm really excited to be here. I'm Manish Mittal. I'm the Corporate Vice President for Shopping Commerce. And it's great that folks are typing here and sharing about their location, their LinkedIn profile, and all the stuff. So like Will said, this is an event where we are looking to share what the WebXT organization is all about, and hope there is a mutual interest and mutual fit. So some few things about myself. Um, Folks can see the slide okay, because my view might be slightly different. So Will, yes, well.
Yes, looks good.
Okay, great. So things about myself, I've worked in Microsoft for 23 years. That's a long time. Been in United States for a little over that, 24 years. I've come from India. The place that shows up is the central of the India. It's one of the hottest place and also very famous for oranges there. So um, but then been here and in the Seattle weather for all these years. I love golf, which is a good 6-month activity in Seattle. It doesn't last that much longer, right? Like right now, for the last few months, it's been paused. And I'm sure that, like I said, like when I see Florida and Puerto Rico and all that part of it, I get excited about that. Um, I have, I mean, I'm a learner. I'm a Ted Lasso fan. I don't know how many people here are aware of Ted Lasso. It's a recent series. It's on sports, and I like the management style. There are a few things that really resonate with me from that is how should you invest in relationship and make sure that you take the team along. A team working together has a more chances of winning versus and then how it's important to be vulnerable. I see some. um, and how it's important to be vulnerable and how you can build the trust with others. And the last and important thing that I recently even shared on my LinkedIn is about being a goldfish, having a 10-second memory, because there are many opportunities or many situations that comes, whether you're working, whether you're studying, where you want to immediately forget and move on, and the goldfish aspect that came from there. So besides that, I'm a deal seeker. I work in shopping. Shopping is my um, second calling. I mean, I feel I'm good at finding deals, and that's what we've done in shopping. And you'll see some videos later on, but we'll talk more about that. This is a busy part of the year with the Thanksgiving, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, holiday season, Christmas, all that aspect of shopping coming in. So it's very important that we show up well, we find the right deals for the users so people can shop, and then we can help them save money and save time. Just brief on my journey. Like I said, several years, I did mechanical engineer, and I see that some of the folks here, some of them are computers, some of them come from a different background, and that doesn't matter. Initially, my first job was in a chemical industry where I was a inspection corrosion engineer, and it lasted like 10 months because I couldn't take that, and I ran and joined a software engineering firm, and then eventually went to Microsoft. And that really was great because I felt that it was so much important to be working on something that you love. And in Microsoft, if you look at it, and I'll talk about that in the WebXT time as well, it's many mini companies inside. It's not just one company. So even though I've worked here for 20 plus years, it's been on many different aspects, whether it is identity, whether it is a subscription platform or search, which is where the majority of the time, and then now shopping. The second moment that I think I talk about where I've gotten some learning is when we acquired these companies for jellyfish and chow for cashback. And then right around the Thanksgiving time, like 10, 12 years back, we had a special going on where we said 40% on HP. And everybody flooded to that. Everybody went to the site. They wanted to get laptops and get 40% off. And then our site went down. We had 3 days of outage where we were basically getting customer mails going to our CEO. We were, because people wanted deals, and anything that happens when you come in the way of people finding deals, it's not good. And that's why you see that whenever there is a Black Friday store open, there's a big rush out there. So that was a great learning. The live site taught me personally a lot how to deal with adversity. And those 3 days were hard, but then when I look back, I feel like I learned a tremendous time amount of that from that. And similarly, when I worked in Bing and I moved to commerce shopping, running this as a corporate vice president, um, the product that we've been launching, even though that was a hard time to figure out what is it that we're working on. Looking back, I think that's the part which I enjoy the most. So 3 lessons, if I look back on this 20 years of journey, and as you folks are starting out or you're working somewhere and you're looking to come to Microsoft, one is, of course, take more risk. I mean, I've worked on variety of groups, but I would still look back and say, hey, I wish I'd taken more risk. I've tried more experiences, more diverse experiences. So it's always important to try different things. Second is collaborate and network well. You make people feel good. You work with people. There are people in this group like that are sitting in our panel that I've worked with for many years. And if you every time you're working and you're working closely, eventually that relationship helps you to achieve more. And so invest in that part. And then the third is be courageous, whether it is about your career, talking to your manager, whether it is about trying to try different things and asking for permission, or trying different things, taking more risk, or if you fail, it's fine. But I think it's important to have that. Then let's transition to Microsoft. I mean, this question does come up, like, many years being here. What is it about Microsoft? And you have many people here that have worked in Microsoft and have been going strong. And the question when we ask ourselves, one of the things that this discussion come up is, we all choose to be here. Microsoft allows you to be yourself. Like it gives you the opportunity, it gives you the platform to continue to perform the task and continue to drive and focus on the mission and the growth mindset. So every company needs a mission statement. And when you look at Microsoft, ours has pretty stayed the same. It was have a PC in every household, and then it's transformed into empowering every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. Now, when we look at empower, it's a very loaded term. In our case, when we talk about empower, it's really about providing tools so that they can do more. And it's important that when we talk about this mission, what becomes important is the people, because without our people, and obviously we are 200,000 plus organization, without having the people together, it's very hard for us to achieve their potential. So that's the part that Microsoft is trying to do with this mission. Now, the foundation of that, what is important is the culture. This is a statement that I've read that several times is culture eats strategy for breakfast. It's like if you have two companies with the same mission, with the same set of funding, the same environment, and same amount of people, but they will end up being a different entity. And it all boils down to what people they have and how they treat people, what the different parts of culture they are, how customer obsessed they are, what are the different personal traits that they are bringing, the diverse traits that they are bringing, the dreams that they have, the interactions they have with people, the collaboration that happens. And so that becomes super important. And the the important part that Microsoft focus on is the culture. And it is not just coming from the top down, it is really individual, like me, you, or everyone else in this on this call from Microsoft. It all comes, it boils down to what culture we bring to the table. And when you think about this culture, the foundation of that is growth mindset. And I'm not sure how many of you have read this book on mindset by Carol Dweck. It's really about the learning, the learner, trying things, failing, not having the fixed mindset, but having that growth mindset that I want to try that, I want to learn. It's really a trait, like people say that, hey, you can nurture, you can bring people, if you don't know something about it, you can learn. And that potential is there in everyone. And then the growth mindset, there are four traits that really amplify the growth mindset. One is being customer obsessed, and start with the customer. Even when we are working in WebXT, when we are talking about what is it that resonates with the customer, when we think of customer, what happens is many things come together much nicely versus having an agenda for every team and every individual. This is how I want to do it is different than, hey, this is what the customer want. And that obsession is very important. Diverse and inclusive opinion. Again, it's not about just be aware of diversity. It's about how we are investing in diversity, how we are bringing all these different opinion and different part of the culture to the mix. An example I would give is we were working on the shopping and we were working on this feature of finding coupons or finding the right things so that it can save money. And when we started to invest in diversity, when we started to bring people from all kind of diverse culture, all different region, the kind of and people who were not even passionate about shopping, but they were working as an engineer here. It was important because the mindset they brought in helped us change the feature the way it would work with the customer, not like the person that we are. So if I'm a shopper and I like it certain way, if I build the feature just like how I like it versus somebody else who shop differently, and if I don't cater to that, I won't expand my funnel. So having that diverse opinion is super important. One Microsoft, we talk about it. The reason is you have many teams that are working, and if you work in silos, you don't achieve a goal, or you won't go for a bigger, bolder vision. And having all these teams work, even here, when we have different teams in WebXT, you have a Bing's team, you have search team, you have shopping team. In some ways, there are a lot of dependencies and there are a lot of collaboration opportunity that is there. But when we build a product which is not customer obsessed, when we build something which is not taking the steam and dependency together, it doesn't end up being a good product. And that's why it's very important to have that one Microsoft, whether it is cloud, Azure, we are looking at, whether it is Office, whether it is devices, Surface, Windows. It's important that we work and we have a unified goal of driving the value to the customer. And then, of course, making a difference, innovate. And all of this, there are three principles that Microsoft look at. Create clarity, generate energy, and drive for success. And it's important, like day to day when we are doing the work, each of us, it's very important to know what is the goal, what the clarity of that aspect is super important. And then you will always have a complex task, but you can make it clear, you can prioritize things, you can do the right trade-off, because the prioritization becomes important, and that allows us to make sure that we are going after the singular goal. And then generate energy and drive for success. If I go to the next one, this is a great statement. It's a recent one that was published in November 2021. You can read that. And it's the important part when we talk about growth mindset, when we talk about the people being here, why Microsoft? And some of that is considering Microsoft works for you, not like you work for Microsoft. And the second important part is each of us, the way we want to think is we choose to be here, not because we are here because we want to get the paycheck or we want to doing that because something else matters to us, is because we choose to be here, and that allows us to do the best work and also focus on customer versus worried about a bunch of other things. It's when you're building consumer products, which Microsoft has not done a great job of over the years, but now with the consumer investment that we are going out and we are seeing success, it's very important that you lead with the customer and you build products that resonate with the customer, and that's how drives the growth, not because you are a big player in this industry. With that, let me talk about the WebXT mission. And folks, if you have questions, Padma has shared the link to the mindset, so you can read that. But let me talk about WebXT. So WebXT is it stands for Web Experience Team. Make the web work for you. It's something that you should think about that as a consumer division in Microsoft, and the consumer products that are happening in Microsoft, whether it is Edge browser, whether it is Bing search, whether it is map, whether it is identity, shopping, finance, weather, or the content services feed, they are all part of this division. It's 5,000 plus or 6,000 people, and it's really focused on driving daily active usage of our properties, whether it is on Windows, whether it is on mobile app, whether it is on any surface that you are there. And what we want to do is, if you look at the Microsoft mission, is enable each and everyone to achieve more, whether it is with the feed, so you're well informed. I'm not sure how many of you are using the Windows 10 on your taskbar. You can see the feed that really understands you, provides you the weather, finance, sports, all the different aspects of things that you see that at your fingertip. You don't have to go when you're doing your work and go take a detour and go out of your work journey and go look somewhere else. Whether it is the browser that helps you be more performant, be more secure, and allows you to do more, even for your work as well as for your user. Same as Bing is the best search engine, and the safe search engine. And I personally work in shopping, and the focus for our shopping is to bring you the best selection and the savings, and help you save money and save time. Everybody shops. You shop on Amazon. If you shop on Amazon, if you shop on Edge, you'll save money. You shop on Walmart, you shop on any site. If you shop on Edge, you save money, or you go to Bing and you shop, you save money. So again, I work in shopping, but the WebXT properties are listed here, and we have a panel that will help answer your questions afterwards. With that, I wanted to just play a couple of videos, one for the shopping that we recently created for the holidays. Take a look at that. It talks about the shopping journey that starts on browser, goes on mobile, different aspect of things, sustainability, and helping you buy things on Microsoft, and all that aspect things that we are doing. And then after that, I'll talk a little bit more about the WebXT. So let's play the video. Is the audio clear?
Actually, there may be a, I'm having an issue seeing it, but not sure if others are.
Can you hear this? Was the audio, was it audible?
Blocking the cookie.
No, I cannot hear anything. Actually,
You can't hear anything?
No.
Okay.
No.
Let me present again. Hold on.
I could hear. I
So
don't
you
know.
could hear?
Yeah, for me it worked.
I could hear as well.
So is it for the folks outside?
Oh, it's in the network.
I couldn't hear it, Manish. So try again and see if that.
All right.
Otherwise, you're gonna have to sing to us, Manish. I heard you're a good singer.
That song is not the song that, you know, I'm good at singing. But let me just share that. 1 second.
Okay.
I'll try once again. If folks can't hear, let me see if. Can you hear?
No, it's saying video can't be found on my end. So it may be a firewall thing.
Yeah, I'll try one more time. And then if that doesn't work.
Yeah, for us outside people, it's saying we have to sign in.
Hmm?
Yeah, it says you have to sign in to view Microsoft Stream. So I'm thinking it's maybe a firewall thing.
So it's a stream thing. Okay.
Let me see if I can share it just from Dropbox directly. I have it open here.
Okay, why don't you do that? And then, so you just can't see the video.
Can't see it or hear it. This.
Oh, hold on.
Oh, sorry, go ahead. You're sharing, Tricia? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Here we go.
Sorry about that. Thank you, Tricia. That was really, really helpful. I'm glad that, oh wow, somebody saved $10 of coupon. That's great. I'm glad that you were able to play that because, you know, it would have been really bad if people had missed that. So especially as the shopping season is coming up. Tricia, I don't know if the other video for WebXT video would play or if that would have the same issue. I will try to project that, but I'll just a couple more minutes and then we'll see if hopefully that doesn't come in the way. So Will, let me know if you're able to hear this.
It looks like the same issue.
Same issue?
Yeah.
How did we manage it last time? So Trisha, do you have this one?
This one I don't have on hand, but I'll see if I can download it and share it in a way if people can see it separately. So I can work on that and share a link.
Got it. Okay, why don't we do that? So until Trisha is doing that, let me just quickly cover that, and then we can bring the panel into that conversation. WebXT team, Microsoft is really invested in the consumer part. It's very important for us to continue to have a product that users love and then they use. We have over 1 billion users on Windows, and we know that they are looking for weather, they're looking for finance, something that saves you money in shopping. Even on the finance side today, with all the different parts like stocks going up, or your mutual fund investment, portfolio management, all that aspect of things, sports, different things, the sports, esports. We recently acquired a company called Smash GG, which is part of our sports and esports portfolio. Even for the education stuff, we have take lessons that came in as part of our education effort for the so you can take lessons for guitar and all that part of it. So different offerings, search, which has over 25% share in US and is growing worldwide. Default search engine, default Edge browser, maps, and several other offerings that are part of our portfolio. So the team is growing. It's really a startup, and within the WebXT, it's a very mini startup. I'm shopping, Bing, everything is a startup. Every time we are looking at, we have a competitor, we have a different dynamics. What is it that user want? What is it that is a unmet need? How can we go build something that users love? As part of the Bing team last year, when we built the COVID tracker, we got 5-6 million users coming daily for like several months, because this was an unmet need. There was no other way for people to build see the tracker and the information, all that part. Same goes for election, same goes for moments in time, Halloween experience, or election experience, whatever it is. People are looking for information as a search engine, as a default browser. We bring those information to the user, and we make sure that the privacy and other aspects are intact and the performance is strong. We are in different countries. You saw even shopping like 7-8 countries, but we are in different countries, different culture. Everywhere folks are working. I mean, in some ways, it allows us to continue to be productive 24/7. I personally like it. My team is in various time zone that anytime I need to talk to someone, I have somebody in some country that I can talk to. Not about work, but in general. I'm a person. I like people. I like interacting with people, and this allows me to continue to do that. And then different roles: developer, designer, content writer, creator, data scientist, managers, product thinker, technical program managers. We have all kinds of roles. And so and even if you're working in one role, it's very easy for you to change. If you have passion for something, you want to try that, whether you want to take that formally or you want to continue working in certain percentage of the time, it allows to do that. And obviously it's one Microsoft, you are part of one group, but you can change and you can work on any other group as you want to learn different skills, and it happens all the time. People go, people come back, and that's all about WebXT. With that, I think I am done with my section. I think I am on time, I believe so. And I might be over because of the video fiasco, but I'm glad that you were able to watch that. And there's another video that I'm sure as time allows, Trisha will play that so you can see how WebXT, how people work, what they think about, how they talk about the culture, the aspect, the day-to-day, what they're learning. It's a good video.
Trisha, is that video available yet or no?
No, sorry, I found it on stream, but I haven't found a way to share it externally. But I'll work on it and see if I can share it before the end of the session. Okay,
no problem. Thank you for that. Manish, I wanted to follow up with a question about your background and your path to Microsoft. Can you talk a little bit about how you got your foot in the door at Microsoft, maybe what you were doing before, and then how you got your foot in the door?
Great question there, Will. I unfortunately did not have a session like this, so where I could hear about the team and then connect. So I think you folks are in a much better spot. I actually worked for Infosys. Like I said, I jumped into the software. I was working in Visa for one of the projects, and then somewhere I got an email from Microsoft that they were looking for some software engineer in test called SDET. And I did not know how they got that contact. Maybe I went to some job fair. I might have dropped my resume because in Bay Area, that was something that all my friends were doing. And so I went there too. And I came for interview here, flew to Seattle from Sunnyvale. And then the interview went fine. And then when I got the offer, I was like on the seventh heaven. I mean, Microsoft, 1998, all that it is, like we had grown up hearing about the story, Bill Gates. And so it was sort of a dream. And then I came in and then I've been here since. And the company has evolved, the culture has evolved. And I mean, I never stopped believing in it, but now I see how the culture has evolved. A lot of things, learnings that have come along the way. And it's not just about the product, it's also about the culture, the various disciplines that we've tried. And I shared that earlier too. So yeah, that's how
that was actually going to be my follow-up question, seeing as to how long you've been at Microsoft. You know, what has changed from the time you started and how the culture is now? Because a lot of people, I think, can be intimidated by potentially going through an interview process with Microsoft and potentially working at Microsoft because they don't know what the culture is. Maybe they think the culture is super competitive and a dog-eat-dog type of culture. But can you talk a little bit about the culture, what it is that you like most about working at Microsoft and maybe how it's changed over the years?
The great question there, Will. I think on the culture side, it's really the subtle things and things around what typically today, if I were to say, hey, what is the A class people that we need in the team? And the people that we look for are, of course, we look for smart people, people who can build write great codes and who can think about products. Of course, it's something that people would talk about, but more important than that, what we look for people, when we look for people, that personally I look for people and I see that happens, and I'm sure the panel can answer that as well, is people who are willing to take risk, people who are not afraid to fail, people who have the can-do attitude. And that doesn't mean that they're the most the accomplished or most deserving or something like that. It's about that attitude. That's one part. The second part is how they work in the team setting and how they work and collaborate with others. It's a very important part. Like even today, shopping. If I own shopping, there are like 5 other teams that own shopping with me, who work with me, and many people that are there here in the panel, they are as much part of it as I am. And so without collaborating with, and it's not just like me and Elvio or me and Padma or Javier collaborate, that's enough. It's really at the ground. The collaboration happens at the ground. And so that's the part which is important. And I think that's the culture that we value. And it's not that earlier we didn't value that, but it was sort of more silo. And that part has evolved. And then the third part that I would say that one of my previous manager who's not here anymore, but like a wisdom that came in, is whenever there's an opportunity that comes in, it's not the people who are the most smartest or strongest that are considered for the role. It's the person who's the most accepted. And I really like that. And it's important to be accepted than to be the, hey, that part of it. And that doesn't mean that it will work everywhere and all that part. And I think some place like that part of the culture, and then being customer obsessed. I don't think we were as customer obsessed before. Today, I think, and we need that because we are the underdog. We have to make sure that we are here to win. But for consumers specifically, if you're not customer obsessed, if you don't have any strategic advantage, why would people use the product? And that's where it becomes important. So I would say 3 things: being customer obsessed, be a can-do attitude, and the collaborative and aspect of part that has come in the culture, which is the most changed since several years back.
Awesome. So Manish, let me thank you for being our keynote. I don't know if you'll be able to hang around until through our panel discussion. But to our candidates, if you have specific questions for Manish, feel free to drop those questions in the chat. And then Manish, if you can keep an eye on the chat for any questions that you might be able to answer from our candidates. Okay, so with that, let's go ahead and introduce some of the team members on our panel that have graciously shared their time. So I want you guys to pay attention because this is your opportunity as well to get to know more of the WebX team, what they do, what types of opportunities they have, and a little bit more about their background. So our first panelist is Javier Flores Assad, who's a partner software engineer on the Microsoft Edge browser. So Javier, if you're ready.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you hear me well?
Yes, perfect.
Excellent. Well, first of all, thank you so much for inviting me. It's an honor to be here. I'm kind of happy to see the other panelists. Haven't had a chance to see them in person for a while. And everybody, thank you for being here. Hopefully we'll answer your questions. Well, what can I say? I have been in the company for about 17 years, which is a long time. I studied in Mexico, computer science and engineering. And I started working in a company over there that did embedded operating systems for black boxes that go on trucks. Back then, that was like a pretty new technology that dealt with GPS and satellite data and things like that. So that was kind of new back then. There were no iPhones or anything like that back then, so it was very exciting to work in something like that. I kind of relate. I didn't have this kind of opportunity to have a panel and discuss about Microsoft opportunities back then, which will have been beneficial. So I'm kind of happy we're doing that now. But I kind of ran into Microsoft by chance. I want to say that. I happened to fix a bug in a driver in one of these black boxes that happened to be using sample code from Microsoft, and I got connected to Microsoft through that, which is very weird if you think about it. And yeah, they told me, hey, go, like, this is interesting that you found this issue, go to your university and we're gonna go interview there. So that was kind of exciting. But anyway, so through my career, I have worked in all kinds of things. Specialized in operating systems for a long while. Started with Windows embedded software that run in ATM machines and things like that. Eventually moved into Windows Phone and Windows Mobile operating systems. Then worked on Windows and the Windows kernel, specifically parts of the shell, parts of application integration, all over the place. I did a little bit of UI, but not a lot, mostly platform related stuff. And as time went by, I'm not even sure how, but I landed in Microsoft Edge, which is the browser, mostly because of my fundamentals and performance background. And that's where I am right now.
So you're originally from Mexico?
Yes.
So were you in university in Mexico when Microsoft found you?
No, not anymore. So I graduated and I worked there for like maybe 8 months. And that still qualified back then as like a college hire. I don't know if that's still the case.
Okay.
But yeah, effectively they did trips to my university back then. But I was never really interested for some reason, maybe lack of information, I would say. But then when I got a little bit more involved and I saw like what Microsoft was working on in embedded systems, it kind of like sparked, and the university connected me.
Okay. So, but where was your university located?
It's in Monterrey, Mexico. It's one of the big institutions over there. It's called Tec de Monterrey.
Okay.
Yeah. And go ahead.
I was like, did you, so when you went to work for Microsoft, did you relocate from Mexico to the Pacific Northwest?
Yeah, back then it was kind of, I guess there was a community. That was one of like things that I thought through is like, do I really want to move over there? And I kind of got to be honest. A lot of people that I know had the same mentality of like, okay, I will go there, learn something for 3 years, and then maybe come back. That was the classic stuff. But then, yeah, I kind of fell in love with the area and found community, both Mexican community as well as pretty much every other culture you can imagine. So now I have a family here. I have kids. And yeah, I mean, we have friends from all over the planet that happen to be here, which is kind of cool.
Awesome. So I love that story because a lot of people are afraid of change, and maybe the opportunity could be a life-changing opportunity but it's the only barrier is that you may have to relocate. But once you do that, you can find that community, get connected, and then live a happy life professionally and personally. So love that part of the story. So what is it that you like most about working for Microsoft? And then I'm going to ask you a little bit about, from a software engineer perspective, what a day in the life is like as well. But what is it that you like most about working at Microsoft?
I will say the people, although that sounds a little bit cliche, but the reality is I have not been one day in this company that I don't learn from somebody else. That's kind of like the bottom line. You are actually working with the top talent in the world. And the company facilitates that kind of work. And it's also the culture that allows learning and less of like competing against each other and things like that. So we're all in it together for a common goal. And I think Satya has made that even more of a reality than previous executives. But I will say that's what it is. It keeps me around in Microsoft for this long. I will say is the ability to move around, as you can see, like I actually move around a little bit, learning day to day new things in things that matter and change people's lives, and also just have this group, this team from which you can learn.
Awesome. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about your role as a partner software engineer. I actually have a software engineering background as well. And one of the questions I always have is, what types of technologies do you have your hands on a daily basis? What types of languages and that kind of thing are you using?
Yeah. Well, right now I actually change all over every time that is necessary. But for the most part, it continues to be C and C++ as like the baseline, because it happens to be like we're working on the Edge browser, which is based on Chromium, and Chromium is a large C++ code base. So that's kind of like what I know more. But as you can imagine, I don't even know. It's probably, I want to say 40 million lines of code. I'm not even sure. It's a large project. So building it requires you to know other things. Like I know a little bit of Python. I have written a little bit of Perl here and there. I do my tooling on C# because like, why would you bother doing tooling on C++? So I would say it's a little bit all over the place. UI in the browser itself is JavaScript.
Okay.
So yeah, it's all over the place.
Awesome. So let me thank you for being one of our panelists. I'm going to go ahead and introduce our other panelists, but for our candidates, if you have questions specifically for Javier, please drop them in the chat. And then Javier, if you can keep an eye on the chat for any questions you can answer, we'll come back and bring you back on for our panel discussion. Okay, thanks, Javier. So our next panelist that I'd like to introduce is Elvio Renato Torres Avid. So Elvio is a Vice President of Search. And Elvio, if you're ready.
Hi. So thank you for inviting me to join this panel. And so I'm originally from Brazil. My name is Elvio Avid. I did my college there. I did my master's in computer science there as well. I used to be a university professor back in Brazil before being hired by Microsoft. I joined Windows and I worked there for about 1.5 years, and then I moved to Bing, and I've been working there since. And it's been a great journey. It's such a great company. I think I love the company. I love the pleasure to have like great minds around and like learning from the job. The great investment that Microsoft gives, putting each one of these employees from training to actually giving opportunities to go to conferences or even do continuous education if you want to. And so there's so many different opportunities once you get here. And it's fascinating, like how much, like the breadth of technologies that you can work on when you're at Microsoft. If you want to work with compilers, you can. If you want to work with computer operating systems, like Javier mentioned, or more high level, like Manish was showing, like with shopping and like having like these end-to-end systems that solve real user problems, right? So in my team, I currently work in Bing, and I work in many different areas in Bing. I started being as a software developer. I was the owner of the neural net trainer, like the code that actually trains neural nets and do all the back propagation, all that, and runs the models very efficiently in our distributed systems, all the way to becoming now like a vice president of like a search whole page, and being responsible for metrics, for a lot of statistical systems, and backend performance, and UX and monetization. So like many different areas in Bing. This is very exciting. Keeps me busy and entertained. And I think you can already see like great colleagues that I have around. So it's a great working environment. So I think that's pretty much it.
I think that's pretty interesting, your role and how you kind of matriculated into your role as vice president of search. So can you explain to our candidates in your role as vice president of search, what does that physically mean if we put our hands on your product? So does that mean when we go to Bing, you're responsible for the search and everything that happens?
If you go to Bing, you issue a query. Let's say the query Microsoft, right? And then we send this query to multiple subsystems. You can imagine like to news, and like news will come and say, hey, I have a lot of news for Microsoft. And we send to finance answer. Finance answer will go say, hey, like I have this stock code for Microsoft. And I'll send to Manish to shopping and say, hey, I have like some T-shirts about Microsoft. I have like some Xboxes and all that. So we'll receive like images, videos, web, everything. And then someone has to compose the page, right? And not only that, but we also have ads. We have like, hey, we have like Microsoft Office, you can buy it, and Office 365. So we have all of this together, and we need to optimize and build this search. Like I'm trying to not use a jargon, but like is search result page. Okay, we call it SERP. We build this whole result page for you. It's structured and like in a way that is easy to parse. And we say, hey, like, okay, so if someone is issuing the query Microsoft, you probably don't want to be buying necessarily an Xbox. So I'll probably put the shopping results down there, the videos down there, maybe the web results should be on top. So we organize this. So we have to have, there is quite a bit of machine learning to learn what's the best for you. We have to handle hundreds of languages, hundreds of regions. And especially for, I think, Latino community, like if you speak, there are some words that maybe in Spanish means something completely different than US, right? Like a query like capes, right? In US, it's fine to show like some capes. If you type the same query in Brazil, it's a governmental agency, and you'll be laughing if you see like some capes for sale. So it really depends on the language and all that, and it's very optimized for each person, each region and location. So it's and we have this optimization both in terms of relevance as well as revenue to figure out how big the ads should be and where they should be located. And so like we have like this whole page is like where everything gets connected, and we need to build the final product. So we are the judges of, okay, who we're going to put on the page and where.
Awesome. So what location do you work out of currently?
Belleville. I have, Belleville, Washington is close to Seattle, right? And I have teams in California, in Vancouver, in Barcelona, and China, and Japan.
So let me ask you my favorite question, and that is, what is it that you personally like most about working at Microsoft?
Oh, there are a lot of things that I like. So I like I think the challenges and the flexibility that is given. I think we always have very interesting technical challenges and really pushing us to do better and become better. and the flexibility. Like we have the option to choose, hey, I'm going to be working on that or this, and we can be creative, and the team, the company is going to be really pushing you to deliver more, be more creative, thinking outside the box, and being a great team player. So I think I became definitely a much better person throughout the years, thanks to the good environment.
Awesome. So my last question for you, I'm putting my candidate hat on. So if I was interested in potentially landing a job at Microsoft, what types of roles do you see? Like, are there themes of really a lot of need for software engineers or technical program managers, or what types of opportunities are you seeing on your teams?
So in my team, we have opportunities for UX developers. We have opportunities for data scientists or applied scientists, which will do like some of the machine learning, the modeling, and all that. We have some opportunities for back-end engineers, like high performance, like doing like working a lot of C# and have a much more like a performance-oriented kind of development. We also have opportunities. I think right now opportunities for program manager we have mostly is in, I think, in Vancouver, Canada. We currently do not have in the US, but like there are other teams very close and very similar to mine, like close by, that I have for program managers to actually drive the product and like understanding better the user requirements and all that. But those, I think, are the biggest areas that that we have typically positions. And someone was asking about entry level versus experience. So we hire a wide range of from different backgrounds. So we have a lot of university recruiting, just like Javier mentioned, like directly from university. Some are entry level, some are more senior. So we have a wide range of opportunities.
Awesome. So Elvio, let me thank you for being one of our panelists. And if you'll hang on for our panel discussion later, we'll answer some more questions from our candidates. So thanks, Elvio.
Sure.
Okay, so let me introduce our next panelist, who is Padma Priya Gagara, General Manager, Web Data Platform, WebXT Quality Framework, and WebXT Engineering Systems. So Padma, if you're ready.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Will. I'm Padma Priya Gagara. I'm a general manager in Microsoft. I manage the web data platform team, the quality framework and engineering systems, and I can talk a little bit more about what they mean. I started in Microsoft about 18 years ago. A very similar story like a bunch of others, right from the college. I finished my master's in University of Arizona, and as part of the campus recruiting, got a job in Microsoft. And again, in those days, one of the few companies that you really want to work for. So moved to Seattle and started working here. Started my career as a software developer, writing code for email clients and the browser. And slowly, after a few years, moved to Bing. And since then have been in Bing. It's almost been 11 plus years in Bing now. Given I really liked how the breadth of the products that you can influence, and I was also very keen about growing people to their full potential, that gradually moved me into an engineering manager role from being a software developer. So since then have been a manager, group engineering manager, and recently started managing product managers as well, and hence the title of general manager. In Bing, I started with a shopping team. And it was the earlier incarnation of the shopping team, actually, and now Manish runs the second incarnation of it. And from there, I worked on various other segments like images, videos, travel, tech, moved around a bunch of such teams. And finally, right now, I work on the platform side of the infrastructure that we build, which is commonly used by all other teams in WebXT. Particularly, the part I recently picked up is where we build the index for the whole Bing. So out there are trillions of URLs, and my team is the one which goes and finds which ones to keep in the index, go crawls them, get the data around them, figures out the right features for them, and then makes it available for rest of the search to use. Another interesting thing I did want to mention is I started here, worked for 11 years in US, and I am based out of Bellevue as well. I moved back to India for personal reasons where I belong to. And I lived there 7 years and came back. And all through with Microsoft, back and forth, it was very seamless. I could just continue working on very similar stuff, same products, didn't skip a beat. And to me, WebXT, as I said, I've been for like 11 plus years, and every day I'm excited to go to work again and do more. And what really makes me excited is it's a consumer product, and I feel like everyone in the world can use it. So every change that we make is there for anyone there. Second, there's a strong competition out there, and which pushes you every day to do something faster, more innovative, to keep pushing the boundaries. It is exciting again. If there isn't anybody pushing you, then you could kind of limit yourselves to not doing as much. The third, the breadth of, again, the technologies or the kind of things that we get to do. On one side, there is this scale of services that we build. On the other side, there's this machine learning and the large data. So I feel like I can go to any of these things, and I'm excited to work on all of these technologies. And over years, I've also seen how Microsoft has evolved in terms of the values that we stand for and the culture that we represent, which very much resonates with me. And there's a harmony in how I feel in my personal life and how I can take the same to my work and can just stay the same. And the company kind of is representing me in a way of what I believe in.
Awesome. So I'm seeing a lot of questions come in related to what types of skills do I need to have to come and work for Microsoft? So if you look at that from a software engineering perspective, what would be your advice to some of our candidates for the types of skills they should have as a software engineer to come work for Microsoft?
So it's a huge company, and the skills range all the way, right? All the way from UX to the latest technologies and what UX uses, to backend, to how you do distributed computing, to how you do massive data computing and storage, to how you can even do these deep learned models and what the training code looks like to actually training those models, being a machine learning expert. And then there are all these, if the question was limited to software, then that's what it is. But there are also program managers and product managers who define the vision and the scope of where the product is headed and how we execute on it. So to me, I think some of these can actually even be learned on the job, right? So while there is a good prep and some background that you can bring in these areas, but I think kind of Manish hinted towards it. There is a lot of it is about, can you grow? Because every problem is going to be different. So are you ready to take that ambiguity and create that clarity collectively with the rest of the people that you work with, whether it is partners or whether it's your own team members? Are you going to give up, or are you going to continue to persist and get to what we need to? Because the first solution may not be the best solution. Are you ready to take risks? Right. So I think we have actually come a long way from having a fixed set of traits, like a technical traits that made somebody a good person to work with, than a more holistic personality. They end up being people who succeed more because how they can take everyone together rather than just a person who sits in their corner and writes a great piece of code, right? So I would say we do value a lot of good technical background, but some of that has also been things people have learned over time.
Awesome. So what is it that you like personally? What is it that you like most about working for Microsoft?
So as I said, I think I have a great set of peers. Every time I move teams or like come across new set of people, they just wow me, right? I learn a lot from people, and I think it's like my daily learning quota that just comes from people that I work with. I don't have to do anything special to do that. Second, I think it's a set of opportunities. You could move around, you could do so many things, and you could almost move very effortlessly because there's not a lot of effort that you have to put in to do that. So I mean, that's another thing that I have loved in Microsoft. The third I would like to highlight, and I think many people don't see this, is that there's a concept of a work-life balance. Some companies would say, I'm giving you work-life balance. Other companies would say, we really make people like work very hard, right? I mean, like but in Microsoft, I feel you actually tend to set that pace. There have been years when I can push myself and I want to really do a lot more because my schedule, my time of my life lets me do that. There are years when I want to pull back and do less. And Microsoft just supports you through all these stages. And based on how much you do, you of course may grow or may do that kind of an opportunity. But your career is a long career, as you can see, and you tend to build on it. But there's no discontinuity anywhere. And you pick and choose and you prioritize the right things in life. And the Microsoft facilitates that.
Awesome. Awesome. So Padma, let me thank you for being one of our panelists. And with that, let me go ahead and introduce our next panelist, and then we'll save some time for question and answer from our candidates at the end. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Shashi Hade is the principal software engineering manager within Bing. So Shashi, if you're ready.
Yeah. Hi, folks. Delighted to be here. So I've been with Microsoft over 20 plus years. I joined in like 98. I worked in India for a little bit, and then right after college, and then I had an opportunity to work for Intel, and then after that, I basically ended up at Microsoft, working in the C++ group, working on performance tools. And a couple of years after that, I just ended up in Windows International team, where I was enabling building infrastructure to make Windows work in all languages, essentially, right? And after that, I moved around to move to other teams. I moved to Office 365, got my exposure to online services. And then in 2010, we decided as a family to move back because, after our second daughter was born, so we said like, hey, let's move to India to stay closer to family. And we moved to India and to Hyderabad. And Padma and I were like worked in the same team. I'd been in Bing since 2010. And in 2018, again, we had another, interesting turn of events. Our older daughter decided to, come back to the US to do her college, to go to college here in the US. So, and I moved back to, we moved back as a family back here. And then 4 years later now, actually, I moved again. We moved to Atlanta, mainly because, we had the opportunity because of the new center opening up in Atlanta, as well as, the weather is great. It's another fantastic place that we are discovering almost on a daily basis. So I moved around quite a bit in multiple teams, and I'll answer the question like, what do I like about being at Microsoft? It's the sheer number of opportunities and the opportunity to make an impact for not only as an engineer, but but also as as a person. Some of the things that we have, like the giving campaign programs that we have at Microsoft, where it's an annual event that I know, going back to the very first year that I joined the company, we have a culture of giving to the communities and the communities all around the world, in terms of not just money that you can donate, for which 100% of it will be matched by Microsoft, but also you get to volunteer at different places, and for that also you get Microsoft will match the number of hours that you're spending with the favorite charity that that you are passionate about. So I think as a corporate citizen, I think Microsoft is like, I feel very proud to work for Microsoft as a company, not just for the opportunity that it has given me to grow, as well as to make an impact, but also make an impact outside of work as well, right? So that's the best part of working for Microsoft, is what I would say. And coming back to the actual role that I'm in right now, So my team is responsible for, I'm part of the platform org, the WebXT platform org. So we build infrastructure that basically helps all the other teams that basically build services on top. Like the one that Manish was talking about is a great example, the shopping infrastructure, or some of the things that Elvio talked about, which is the answers that you see on the Bing search results page. So some of those things, the backend infrastructure of it, is all done by our WebXT platform team, right? So we mostly in the backend, and the thing that we focus more on is internal focus, in the sense that we empower other engineers in the organizations to go solve some of the hard problems that they encounter to solve the end user's needs. Like when I say end user needs, like the shopping experience or the finance one or the weather one, or like, you're interested in finding out more about what do you call this? Like, let's say you have a simple mathematical problem that you're trying to solve, right? So there are like applications that teams have built where you can take a screenshot of a mathematical expression, and then we have the backend, which basically will solve that expression and then give you the step-by-step results for that, right? So there is machine learning involved in terms of like converting the text, the image to text, extract the key expressions, like the mathematical expressions, and then solving it using a solver, right? So the whole entire stack end to end is powered by the infrastructure that we build and enable for our partner teams within the organization to go solve some of these end user facing problems.
Awesome, awesome. So I appreciate you giving us that background, and then also answering some of the questions I was preparing to ask you. So you hit the nail on the head. So what I like to do is I'll give you the first panel question, but I'm going to invite our other panelists to go ahead and turn your video on so we can answer some questions that I'm seeing in the chat from our candidates and make the most out of this opportunity, as we only have about 15 minutes left. So let me go ahead and spotlight our other panelists. We have Javier, spotlight, and Elvio, if you're ready as well. And then Manish, I don't know if you're still with us, Manish, but would be happy to add you to our panel discussion as well. Okay, so Shashi, I promised to ask you the first panel question, and this might be an interesting one for not only our candidates to listen up to, but for the other team members to add any input that they might want to add. So COVID-19 hit last year in 2020. How did that affect the way that your teams worked within Microsoft? Did everyone basically start working from home? And then how is it now? Are people still working from home, or folks choosing to go back in the house, that kind of thing?
Great question. Fantastic question. So yes, it hit us hard. It was like very hard to get used to initially, because the thing is that as human beings, we like to interact with other people quite closely. So you can't have the same kind of like conversations, like hallway conversations, getting into a room and then solving problems together on a whiteboard, or like things like that, right? So those things we completely missed out on, in the sense that the whole being connected to the each person on the team, that whole opportunity just went away. So we had to, like everybody else, so we had to figure out how to make things function smoothly. And even when you're at home, you can't step out because of the initial COVID situation was so bad that at best you could do is you'd get bored of sitting in one room. You'd basically take your laptop and go to the other room, right? So that's the best you could do. But then we started talking to the team more, because long multiple days of like not having interaction, that made it quite challenging. So luckily we had quite a few activities that we started figuring out, like, hey, how do we do things like the social events, that virtual happy hours. Those things became more and more important, where like we had some opportunity to unwind and then talk about things outside of work. Hey, what did you do? Something that's not work related, because we started the meetings with that first, to talk about things not work related, but things that that people are doing, like whether be it like learning to cook a new dish, or picking up a new hobby, or doing something fun with your family and friends. Not friends, of course, with your immediate family. So those are some of the things that we did, but I'll let others on the panel share their experiences with that.
Yeah, I would love to know if any of your teams are hiring for opportunities where folks can work remote.
So we do have, I think, like a remote, you mean from like different states in the
Correct.
US?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. So I think we have some flexibility depending on the states, but like for the most part, we look for people to be working either in the Washington State or California, like closer to one of the offices. But I don't know if there is like I haven't like, typically we open the positions for Washington State, and if the person has performs well and has some restrictions, we can try to work around it. And I think there is some question also if it's like temporary or definitive. So because we are in a situation where vast majority of people are working from home. Comes January or February or March, we don't know how things will change. And I think that there's an expectation that there will be more folks coming to work in person. So depending on the position, it will be better if at least a year from now, to be local. But I think it really depends on the position. I'm not sure if there's a Padma or Javier, you have like a different.
Yeah, I just wanted to add the rationale for what Elvio said, right? I think while we want to facilitate everyone to be working from what is comfortable for them, but we also want to have a critical mass of people together, because otherwise we kind of miss out on that camaraderie and team feeling. And they end up, once we all come back to work, or majority comes back to work, a few people left out. The situation will be very different from what it is today. So it's more to ensure that everybody is on the level playing field, and we kind of can create the right set of opportunities and the setup for people, that we are hoping to have people in few places. Like Shashi said, there's a team in Atlanta. If people can work out of there, great. As long as we have the minimum, the critical mass, that is a great remote location that will be available.
Awesome. So I see a really good question from Beatrice Leon Milan, and that is for all panelists. And that is, along with customer obsession, your teams seem to put inclusion and diversity at the forefront of your work. Do you have language localization teams within your organization? And so I know Elvio touched on the importance of, within search and the different languages and how that has to be kind of parsed out. But are there language localization teams that work on, that the semantics and all that good stuff within search potentially?
Yeah, there are we have and this is like Microsoft has multiple products that work across hundreds of languages, right? Like from Office to Windows to Bing, and there are centralized teams that within WebXT or E+D that works on localization, and they provide support for the different teams. For example, my team is a consumer for them, like we actually use their services. I think Shashi had like some experience on this as well.
Yeah, they're a very standard process for all of us to leverage the central team, and it's a very well-oiled machine given Microsoft ships in almost like all the languages and most of the products.
Yeah, one thing that is kind of fun, like there is, as Elvio and Padma are saying, there are processes that we all kind of follow, but something that is kind of fun is that we also get invited to check correctness and debug some of the localization that is being done. Especially, it's kind of fun on Xbox when they localize games or dialogue. It kind of like the machine will try to do its best, but when you hear it like from Mexican Spanish, it's like, yeah, no, that doesn't sound right. So it's kind of cool to participate on those.
So Javier, I've got a follow-up question for you. What advice would you give candidates that are coming in for maybe a technical interview and they want to land a job at Microsoft?
Yeah, well, I will say that it depends on the role and the level. It's very different entry level versus not. But in general, what we're looking for is people that clearly demonstrate exceptional ability at solving problems with software. That is kind of the bottom line. On top of that, at least personally, I kind of want to see that you're excited about whatever it is that you do. I don't have like a template interview that's like, well, I'm gonna just ask this because that's what I ask. I actually look at the candidate and say, okay, well, let's see where you want to go. What do you do? What problem have you solved for a customer or for yourself or for the fun of it? I don't know, whatever it is. And then I kind of want to see that you're excited and that you deeply understand what you do, right? So I think that's kind of like the bottom line, but each interviewer will have their style. I happen to be one of the persons that reviews the interview loop at the end of the day. And I that's the way I kind of direct the entire loop when I have the chance. It's like, okay, well, let's see what the candidate has done, what they have to offer, how can we put this person in the best possible position to take advantage of the skills or whatever they're interested on. So being honest about what you care about is also very important. Otherwise, we kind of get the wrong impression about what's going on. And I also need to believe that you're going to be able to work with other people correctly, right? It's like you could be very smart, but if you're not approachable, that is going to be a problem overall. So it's kind of it's a combination of everything, but you need to have those. You need to have those technical competencies for sure.
Awesome feedback. So Manish, let me get you involved in the conversation if that's okay.
Sure.
So I know there may be a lot of folks that maybe they're in mid-career or even early career, but they are quite ambitious and maybe they want to join Microsoft and they want to end up being a vice president one day. So what would you say are some of the things that helped you navigate to your current leadership role within Microsoft? Oh, I think you on mute.
Yeah, being muted is definitely helped me. So that's a great question. I think there are several things, and you know, it's obviously the success can be defined in many ways. So it's not just the promotions and other parts of it. But if I look back and if I look back at the inflection point, like I shared some of that about, but what's really important is the thing that I felt was first is table stake is that you're building products or you're working on something that has the right amount of metric, the right amount of improvement, the right amount of wins when it comes to the business aspect of things. Assuming a lot of people do that, majority of the people do that. So whatever you work on, whether you're working on platform and improving the latency capacity, whether you're working on search to improve the results relevance, whether you're working on UX experience to improve the customer, get more customer to use us. I mean, building a product or working whatever you work on, it's important that you're doing a good job of it. So most people do that. So I don't think it's hard. The second part is how you navigate, because there are a lot of time comes in where you have to make decisions and you have to make trade-offs. And of course you'll make mistakes, but you learn from that. And how you deal with those kind of situations is super important, because you'll have disagreement, you'll have agreement, you'll have different things, whether we should go in this market, whether we should change this way, whether we should go and cater this solution to women or these customers. That like you'll have many decisions that you make, and I love certain principles that are there that Amazon talks about, and I personally use that, is you are right more often than you are wrong. And I think it's important, and you're not going to be right all the time, but it's important that being right most of the time. The third thing I would say is taking on big challenges. And challenge doesn't mean it's just like challenging the status quo. It is not about you are basically always challenging things, but it could be about a product. It could be about the organization processes. It like, hey, this doesn't work for processes. Let's challenge that. Let's try to improve that, and always being eager to try to improve that. And I think those are the people that I see, and I look at it and I see like they are the change. They are instigator, they are the catalyst, and that part is important. And the last I say is like how you work with people, how you work with people, how you influence people, how you network with people, because ultimately, whether people join your team, they go and ask others, hey, how's that team? Hey, if somebody came into me and say, hey, how's Elvio to work with? And you want me to say good things, because of course the team is great and the leader is great, and I would say the same thing. I would say good things among all the leaders over here is ultimately people join your team because they talk to others, or people work with you because you are able to collaborate. So it's important to have how you deal with people, how you deal with people within your team and outside, and that's an important part. So those are the few things that come to mind. And I'm sure others can add more.
Awesome, awesome. So keeping an eye on time, we're just about out of time, but I want to thank you all as our panelists on the Microsoft side. I want to thank you for sharing your experiences, for sharing your paths and journey to Microsoft, and also your opportunities, within your different teams at Microsoft. I want to thank you all for sharing. And to our candidates, I want to thank you all for attending the event, because if you guys did not come to the event, we could not have special events like this and present these types of opportunities to you. So with that, I want to encourage you all to make sure that we have your latest resume on file. So the easiest way to do that, you should have gotten or received an email from me for this event. So all you have to do is respond back to that email with your latest resume, or follow the link that we are going to send out after the event. So keep an eye on your email to follow the link and make sure we have your latest resume. For most of you, we probably have the resume you submitted to be a part of this event. But if you like to update your resume based on some of the things that you heard at this event, and you want to highlight certain skills or experience that you have in your resume, feel free to do that. And then what's going to happen is we are going to share all of your resumes with the WebXT team through our contact, Jesse Sparks there at Microsoft. And then they're going to go through your resumes and see if there are current opportunities to bring you in for interviews for opportunities that are a fit with your different skill sets. So that doesn't guarantee an interview, but there's guaranteeing a look at your resume. And a lot of times what happens, because I saw a lot of comments and questions in the chat about, well, I've been trying for many years to get into Microsoft, and so far I haven't been able to get in. So what happens at these events, not only will your resume be shared with the WebXT team first, but then afterwards, there will be other teams that will be reviewing the resumes to invite you in. So make sure you put your best foot forward and your resume shares all of your relevant experience, but then don't give up if you have not landed an opportunity yet, because we have had people that have attended these events that have interviewed with one team, and maybe it was not a fit initially, but maybe they did well in the interview. And then another team will bring them in for a second interview, and then they end up working for that second team. And we've had instances from these specific events where people interviewed, let's say February of last year, and they just started working, towards the end of this year. So please stay connected to us. Please continue to attend these events. We're having another event with the AI platform team tomorrow. So I'll also share the details on that after this event. But again, thank you all for coming. Hopefully this was worth your time. I definitely think it was, and I appreciate all of your participation. So thanks to the Microsoft team as well, the Microsoft WebXT team, and thanks to all of our candidates. With that, I'll say good night. Take care.